Alright guys, welcome to Optimizing Forward guys. I'm going to attempt to make a video here. I'm pretty sick. Um, Still going to make a video. So guys, for today, I'm going to go ahead and make some content on, I want to say, primarily, I'm not even sure what I'm going to make a video on. You know, I guess books, things that I read, and maybe it will be of use to you. Okay, very briefly, what I think are the things that people should read, check out, XYZ. And yeah, so what are those books you should read and how should you learn from that, right? So pretty much, at a minimum, if you're if you're on the journey of self-improvement, right? The vast majority of you guys, a lot of you guys will benefit from reading what I call superficial self-help, self-development books. Those are going to be very useful for you because they're going to give you what I call the baseline mentality of self-improvement. Okay, what baseline mentality of self-improvement? It's going to say, oh, you should persevere, you should work hard, X, Y, Z, you should be disciplined. Very superficial level of self-improvement, and it will challenge your perspective from the anti-growth mindset to the growth mindset, right? That's going to be a lot of the typical self-improvement content. It's going to talk about having a self-limiting point of view, self-limiting perspective, self-limiting this, self-limiting that, XYZ, right? And you know some standard books you might read about this is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. That's one of the most common books. Stephen Covey, I believe, was the author of that. Or actually, Stephen Covey also wrote numerous books on um, of self improvement books. Right. He also wrote the Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, which I read when I was like 16, 17 years old. And Stephen Covey was one of the founders of the so-called self-improvement movement, making yourself better than ever before, not being a lazy piece of scum, becoming better, improving yourself. And I would, for the first year, read maybe 5 to 25, 30 books on self-improvement. Iron John by Robert Bly is good. The Way of Man, The Way of the Superior Man by David Data. The 4 Hour Work Week by I forget his name. 4 Hour Work Week. All these books are really good, and then more or less the goal in the first year, right, is to build a baseline mentality of self improvement to where you get replication of self improvement. So what exactly does that mean? Well, in simple terms, what this means is that you want to get to a point in which your own mentality becomes automatic. Okay, in a weird way, guys, I don't really watch self improvement influencers. I don't watch like 90% of things. I don't follow Andrew Tate. I don't really care too much either way. And I still have like that David Goggins type of mentality as my default mentality, right? Like people say, "Oh, Drew, when you talk, you're passionate, X, Y, Z, you're intense, whatever." And these things is because those are the things I'm passionate about, and I've just been self improving for so long that it's my normal. That is how I think about the world. Okay, fundamentally, even when I play chess, whatever it is I do, fundamentally, it always goes back to that self improvement. Always making yourself better than you were before. Always striving to grow, make more money, striving to be the best version of yourself. Or using that old phrase I've been using for years, being who it is you want to become is a really important concept. And the idea of being who it is you want to become is effectively the notion um, that you are attempting to be more than yourself, right? You're attempting to be better than yourself. You're attempting to be more. You're attempting to do more. You're attempting to, you're, pretty much, guys. The fundamental. notion of self improvement. It comes down to this simple ideological thought: how can I do something rather than why can't I do something? That's fundamentally what this thought comes from. This is what that thought comes down to. It is the same exact thought that says that how can I become international master? How can I run a 6 minute mile? How can I get, my dream girl, whatever? Maybe she's a supermodel. Your average Joe doesn't think he can get her, but you think you can get her. And that is the fundamental difference between a self improvement mindset. I don't see the problem as, oh, I can never attain this, but rather, how can I attain this? And then what are the steps along the way to attain this, right? Books have been absolutely foundational towards building that database of reference material that I think back to when there are situations that call for it. Okay. Ideally, in an ideal situation, you should read, I think, 60 books a year. Obviously, I haven't read in a good while. And the reason why that's the case, right, is because a lot of self improvement books are repetitive. You will tend to find that most self improvement books or success porn says the same thing. So I tended to find the more books I read on self improvement, it tends to say the same thing over and over and over again, right? And there was a new innovative thought I came up with about a couple years ago. It's the idea of being high level. Came from an old guy that I knew. His name was Optimized Prawn, and this notion is quite simple, right? Once you had built your baseline minimum of trying to be high level, high improver, then what you do is you begin to read high level concepts, high level things, reading very high end books like graduate level textbooks for fun, and that's going to increase your minimum knowledge level whenever and wherever possible. Okay, there's interesting books: The Theory of Justice by John Rawls, Anarchy, State, and Utopia, Political Pragmatism. Reading about the history of the Third Reich, reading about the history of Russia, reading about the history of China. All these books, um, you might think have nothing to do with self improvement, but it does. Okay, once you hit the baseline minimum amount of knowledge of understanding the core tenets of self improvement: perseverance, consistency, work ethic, and you have ingrained a new belief system within yourself, then the next step of extrapolation that we're trying to do is we're trying to grow our knowledge by having new levels of abstraction that we can draw upon whenever and wherever possible. Okay, like when I was studying equities, I was studying bonds, stocks, I was studying all these higher level ideas I'd never been exposed to, which then leads me to becoming a higher level individual. So there's a hierarchy of books, right? I'd probably recommend, for a while you're gonna read a lot of self improvement, read some fiction: Count of Monte Cristo, Lord of Flies, um, Mice of Men. These are all common books. Tom Sawyer, a lot of the classics, Uncle Tom's Cabin. All these books, I think for a lot of people who want to live the best possible life, you should just be well read no matter what. Okay, I have the luxury of having my own degree, so I've already become well read because I've read a wide range of authors, ideas, and philosophies that allows me to talk with confidence and command because I've dedicated and develops my self improvement mind state. And then once you do it long enough, it will become automatic. And then people will be like, oh, how did you develop this mentality? Well, it wasn't by accident. I read an insane amount of books. And the final thing I will leave you guys with is that everyone's self improvement philosophy and general perspectives should not be the same. Okay? Just because I'm reading books on politics or philosophy doesn't mean you should read the same. Pursue things that interest you but are very challenging books. Okay, for example, if you read Dante's Inferno, right? That is a fundamentally important book about the Judeo-Christian description of the seven layers of hell, right? As Dante goes through up the layers of hell, he learns about all the seven deadly sins, and in doing so, he learns about God, right? Now, if you read that book cover to cover, I promise you, you will change as a person. You will learn new ideas. You'll learn about climaxes, denouements, the hero's journey. The hero's journey is one of the most critical things in self improvement. we are taking our own self-improvement journey and attempting to become better rather than worse off. And we have to understand that all of us starts as a Luke Skywalker, and we're trying to become better and better. And there's challenges, people who doubt us along the way, which eventually leads to you improving and you to becoming better. Okay. Um, that I believe is the fundamental purpose of reading books. It should be to change how you view and see the world. The modification of the self comes from book knowledge and experiential knowledge. In an ideal world, guys, you get life experiences that change who you are and books from great authors like Leo Tolstoy, Shakespeare, reading the great philosophers, Nietzsche, Plato, Aristotle, um, Bertrand Russell, Wittgenstein. Reading all the classics, guys, will make you a great human being. Okay, you can't help but become a great person simply because you're so damn well read. Being well read makes you a great person because you've taken the time to cultivate a unique thought process from other great people who took the time to write books because they fundamentally wanted to influence you. The authors of the past are trying to tell you stories of a long time past. And if you can draw upon those lessons, it's very probable that you can apply it to your own life and come closer to living the optimized life. That's all I have for you guys for optimizing forward, and have a good day.